Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, welcome. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I'm the founder of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, and you are in the zone, the Biz Info Zone, where the savvy social entrepreneur can express their purpose, plan their next moves, and take their business to the next level and their lives into prosperity. So my P3 philosophy of doing and growing business starts with purpose, identifying your purpose, and then you get into the planning and the whole strategy and devising your action plan that you then can implement. And that's what takes you to business success. And even as a social entrepreneur, principles are the same. Whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit organization, the principles are the same. And if you want to grow, if you're already at six figures, you want to grow to a seven-figure business, if you are looking to grow into that six-figure business, you're in the right place. Because today, my guest and I are going to be talking about something that actually, by some, is considered to be magical: masterminding. I am so very happy to be here today with Desiree Doubrox. And, you know, I could say a lot of things about this young lady. She's been an entrepreneur since the age of 12. She's been a business owner of various businesses, and she's been evolving into her highest and best self. And she's a divorced mother of two grown sons. And, you know, when it comes down to us finding our purpose in life, we really do. And when we do, to actually stand in our power to do the work that we know we've been called to do, I can honestly say that that's who Desiree Doubrox is. She is the founder of an empowered woman and publisher of the new web magazine called Let's Talk Success. And she and I today are going to be talking about the subject of mastermind groups. Success, failure, what are the traits, what are the attributes, what are some of the key elements that will promote success. And without further ado, I want to say welcome, Desiree. Welcome to the Biz Info Zone show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of this. It's exciting. It's always exciting to talk about business and women in entrepreneurship. Always.
I totally agree. I think that my being attracted to you is a prime example of how we as women can find those who we resonate with, connect with, and go on from there. I see a hugely bright future in having connected with you and bringing the empowered women and the things that you teach and share out of Empowered Women and Let's Talk Success to the audiences and communities that I'm a part of. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. You know, do me a favor and tell our audience a little bit more about your journey. What's brought you from where you were at the age of 12, knowing that you were a business owner, to the place of now supporting so many powerful women in their entrepreneurial journey?
Okay, and I'll give you the short version. But even at 12 years old, I was my mother would take me to dance lessons in the morning, and I wanted to teach those same lessons in the afternoon at a public playground that we had in Philadelphia. And I didn't know any more than what I learned that day, but I put flyers out and enrolled a lot of students for that program. And basically, it was a glorified babysitting service. And I would teach them, and then when we had our recital, I created a recital for them. My mother and I made the costumes, and my brother collected the tickets, and my sister ran the music, and we had a packed house. And it was so packed that one of the people complained to the management that we had these teenagers. I was 12, I wasn't even a teenager, had all these people in there and had breached the fire code or the code. And they came in, they saw us, and they shut us down. Well, the thing is, it was a great experience, and the lesson I've learned from that, and I want to share with everybody, is that you don't have to know a lot. There's always, no matter what level you are, there's people, whether it's a different age group or different demographic or different, level, would like to learn that, and you can parlay that information in for a profit. So the next experience was when I was in Catholic Girls High School. Every year we had to sell those world's famous chocolate bars, the bars for $1.
Love them, yeah.
And so I decided that I looked one day, and there was actually at that time 12 pieces to the candy bar. So I sold them on the playground for 10 cents a piece. And so that means I got 20 cents profit from each bar that I sold. And it was just the kids, they had the same bars in their pocket, but they didn't have $1. But some of them actually wind up spending more than that, buying it piece by piece. So I got the prize for selling the most candy bars, which I think at that time was a transition radio or something like that. And then I made 20 cents profits on a candy bar. Lesson learned is that, again, you can have something in whole, but if you break it up piece by piece, you have you could realize more profits from it that way. So you don't have to kind of reinvent things all the time. Maybe just take what you do have and repurpose it or package it. That may work for you. The next experience, when I was in college at USC, I lived in the Marina Del Rey, and I noted that a lot of the gentlemen, especially, they would party boat on the weekends and they just want to leave the boats messy. They have to come back to it the following week. So I created a marina mermaid service. So what we did is I enrolled a lot of the college ladies that needed part-time jobs or needed a flexible schedule. And we had some little blue T-shirts with marina and a mermaid on it and little blue buckets. They would come to my apartment, check out, and go clean the boats. It wasn't much to do. It's usually surface and just picking up and cleaning up and so forth. And I was charging them $35 a boat. I was keeping 15, and they were getting 15, and it was $5 towards supplies, which was a lot of money cash for any college student. They could do quite a few boats at one time. We advertised in Marina Mermaid paper. That was going great until one of the ladies was smoking on the boat, and it started a fire and on the cushions. And a gentleman didn't sue us, but he said he would unless we got the proper insurances. And when I looked at it, it wasn't feasible at that time. It was too expensive or cut through my profits, and I didn't do it. But the lesson learned, again, maybe something you don't want to do yourself, but you see a need in a community or area, then you can enroll other people to do that and be the owner of that business. And then the second lesson in that was that I spoke earlier in regards to having a solid foundation. So if insurance and legal and bookkeeping, if you don't have it starting out, it will catch up with you at some point in time. So if you can't afford those things in the beginning, then you're not ready to start a business yet. Because again, the risk that you take without the proper foundation could set you back, many, many times, or shut you down, as it did with us. And so the list goes on. I went to Models Media, I had a modeling school and agency. We grew. That's where I made my first million, because we had lots of people and lots of activities, and we advertised on the radio for models, actors, and dancers. Had lots of programs. And what happened there was that we just grew too fast, and I didn't have, again, the foundation. I didn't have the team, and I didn't have the management of the finances, and it was what was over my head. So as you can grow really quickly, but you be prepared for that growth and be prepared for the little legal problems that may come along the way, the insurance problems, just being prepared to grow. You have a team, being able to scale yourself out quickly if necessary, or to be able to monitor the growth in a really gradual pace so that you don't crash at the end of it. And the list goes on.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing those experiences. I often talk to a lot of the business owners that I've worked with who I helped to get into commercial real estate spaces, because I too had a broker's license. I was doing sales, leasing, property management, even finding properties for people to invest in. And I love that. That was my career for 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and to get to the point now where I'm looking at some of the things that I learned just from watching others, it goes back to be the kind of person who can, in fact, learn from others' mistakes. You don't have to experience everything. And the advice and the tools that we bring to you here is just so important for you to pay attention to. And I'm speaking to our audience because you mentioned some very key points and I really appreciate that. As it turns out, with our subject of masterminding, as you were growing your business, did you find mastermind groups to be a part of? Did you start your own because you saw that that was an important need to make sure that you had a system of accountability and the like? Tell us about that part of your journey.
When I started, which was very long ago, there weren't any masterminds with women, or I couldn't find any masterminds with women at that time. It was predominantly men, and many times I was the odd one out. I was the only woman in the group, or the only single woman in the group. A lot of them had families or marriages. So I didn't find that fit for me. And so what I did is I created my own. And that's how we actually started Empowered Women. It was basically, knew there was a need, and women had different needs. I was sitting there in the groups and they would have their wife do this, pick up the kids, and someone else do that. But I realized the women conversation is completely different. We have other things that we want to converse with, that it goes into our mix of blending our business and our personal life. Whether it's the guilt, whether it's the family, whether it's the our menstruation cycle, whether it's, so whatever it is, there's other things that's in our mix. And so I wanted to be part of that. Couldn't find any, and that's when we created our first one with Empowered Woman. And then eventually I became open to more and saw more and went to some of them. And again, some of them are mixed and some of them are co-ed. And I think it's not necessarily based on that. It's based on the information that you're going to be able to receive and how it's with the climate that it has to enable you to grow. So if it has a great climate, and we'll talk later about the things that, the mistakes, the things to look for, the things that you do want, and things you don't want. But if it has the right climate, it doesn't matter now. Just go for it and be a part of it all along your journey.
Beautifully said. And so tell us a little more about the concept of finding the mastermind group that really supports what you need. How did people determine what they need and then search for the right kind of mastermind group?
Okay, so there's still so many different types and formats. Some of them are via for a phone or Google Hangout or conference calls or webinars. They're all virtual. And then maybe you meet once or twice or so many times a year. Other ones are weekly. They can be weekly, they can be monthly, they can be quarterly or annually. They can be in person. Like I mentioned, we had started with one in the book club because we want more women to read business books. Business books like the 3 Feet from Gold or the Millionaire Next Door, or even Think and Grow Rich, or whatever the ones are. I'm trying to think of the E-Myth. The E-Myth was one of the first ones that we did. And so we would meet and we would discuss the different topics and different points and different takeaways that we have from those books. So that was our intention, was to get people to read more of the business books, to be able to talk about what they took away from it, and be able to get feedback and other perspectives on that. So that was a book one that we did, and we met at the end of the year, one of the ladies' houses where we all got together and we brought food, and we actually just collaborated at that point and celebrated what we were doing. Other ones have been more business minded, where we actually had a breakfast that once a month we had the ladies that were 6 figures that wanted to get 7 figures. We had a breakfast where they would celebrate their wins, discuss what the things they were working on. They had a goal sheet, and we would create our accountability systems and what they needed more support in, what they had available to them. And then we also had a 7-figure guest speaker every month come in and hear about each person's individual business and what they needed for their business, and be able to advise them from their experiences. So that was people that needed to grow and wanted to grow collectively at a faster pace. Some people just need a variety of, some of it's business, some of it's more, there's even masterminds on spiritual masterminds. There's masterminds on being femininity, keeping your feminine power and being able to embrace that. There's masterminds on financial, or just how to really watch your numbers. You have someone who leads a bookkeeper or accountant that says, okay, we're going to start off with this. A lot of people are in business. They're not watching their books. They can't tell you what they did last month, the last 3 months, last 6 months, and what they're going to do for going forward in the next 6 months. So if that's what you need, and that's the mastermind you should find or form yourself. So I think it's based on what you need. What you need mentoring with, support with, accountability with, and what you want, a group you want to celebrate with, your wins. That's what I was select the mastermind. And whether you're able to travel or whether you want something that's local or whether something that's virtual. And then the price points. The price points vary anywhere from free, because many times it's part of a community or organization that self-supports itself, or sometimes there's fees. And the fees can go anywhere from, we've had ours from $470 a year to $300 a month to $10,000 a year. I've seen some for $100,000 a year. And so at each level, the people that are playing in that mastermind are playing at a different level. And it really encourages you to get the most out of it, because otherwise it's time and money wasted. So depend on where you are and what you're willing to invest. The fact of the matter is that everyone should be part of a mastermind. If you are not being supported, why? And imagine the difference if you were supported. Why not?
Beautiful, beautiful. So, that whole idea around support reminds me of a story that I tell, that I was a part of a survey done by the Catalyst organization. And I find this fascinating, and I always come back to this story because it is key in addressing what women entrepreneurs need. The Catalyst organization did a study of Fortune 100 businesses for their executive women. And it's typically been these types of executive women who have left the corporate environment and gone out to start their own businesses. And so they included in the study, for one reason, they couldn't find enough female executives in order to make the study valuable enough. So they went out into the small business arena and included women-owned businesses. And because women-owned businesses, they were the CEO. Their only criteria was to have one employee or one person on their team of resources, like a virtual assistant. And back then, you really ended up having one employee who was your assistant. Mm-hmm. But the study was to find why women weren't entering the executive levels and why they weren't staying there. One of the statistics today that the SBA releases is that women-owned businesses, there have been more started in the last 5 years than in the last 35 years. And of those that have started in the last 5 years, I think it's 85% of them have closed their doors within 3 years. So with those statistics in mind, it's like, what can we do to help small business owners who are women? Not to say we're disregarding the men, but the male structure's been set up. There are resources for men. This is something that is new, and finding its focus, being supportive of women. But the Catalyst study pointed out two things that women executives felt as though were their primary issues in the success of their business: how fast they were growing, whether or not they could grow at all, or whether they were going to inevitably shut their doors. The first was the fact that they did not have they didn't feel as though there was sufficient mentoring. And whether it was male or female, peer mentoring, whatever, it just was not there for them. And you've testified to that for us, supporting that. And the second was community. Finding the groups that you could join, that you could participate in, that were supportive and empowering. And what we're finding today is that women recognizing that these are the two primary issues that we have, we are more able to find the communities and the groups that will help us and support us. And empowered women and empowered woman is one of them. To that end, what advice would you give women who are feeling like they're really out there on their own? They want to do this and they're now in a place where they're waffling. Do I go back and get a job, but that's not where my heart is? And they want to make their business successful. What would you advise them?
The first thing is to get that community, like you mentioned, to create community. There's so many of them available now, between the meetups, between all the women's organizations. Again, when we started 8 years ago, 9 years ago, it was very, very few. But now they're all over, and if you, for some reason, can't find one in your area, then create one. This was just at that time I couldn't find any that I resonated with. So I started in my living room where I started inviting ladies over for brunch, and I was a member of the NSA's National Speakers Association, where I had access to speakers. I invited them to come in and speak, and they had a book to sell, and I made lunch, and it started growing to the point where I had to have started having it catered, and I had to start charging. Then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I've outgrown my home. What happens next? That's when I got the DBA and the bank account, and that's how the business was created. Just like that, that only intention of being able to create an environment that was safe haven for women, like-minded women, to be able to share their stories, their challenges, their victories, and their secrets to their success. So find one. They're available. Just Google it. You'll find it. And then participate. Because what I want to warn people is that sometimes you go to one thing once or twice and you feel, okay, well, this is not for me. Make a commitment. And that's the same thing I would say even for the masterminds. Whatever you're a part of, make a commitment, because something they don't happen that first or second time. Sometimes it's the third time, sometimes it's the fourth time. There's a tipping point in every learning curve, in every curve of life. There's a tipping point where something makes sense. And it's also like what you're bringing to that event. You know, what are you bringing to, whether it's a support group or a mastermind? Are you coming in open and bringing something to the table, whether it's a resource, whether it's contacts, whether it's a good attitude, and the commitment to collaborate? You know, because if you're just there to take and take and take, you're not going to get the same. It's not going to work out for you. So come and participate, but commit to it. Find a group of like-minded women or men or mixed, and commit to it for a while, because eventually you'll be able to walk with a gym that you didn't have before. And besides, you'll learn something, you'll make connections, you'll get relationships, and there's nothing better than having access to your own golden Rolodex of people that you can call when you need something, if you need a referral, if you need a reference, if you need whatever it is. There's nothing like having that support. I mean, as you grow, your groups will grow. So maybe you outgrow a particular group in your area, then participate in something that's bigger and larger. Again, there's global networks right now that you can connect with, and it's there. So just find it, make it part of your plan. That should be part of your business plan, because without that, you're going to be a lone ranger, and no one wants to be an island.
No, we were not born to be unto ourselves. We were born into a family. We've learned that sometimes extended families are more value to us than our own families, sometimes. And sometimes an extended family in conjunction with your born into family is what some people need in order to thrive. And in business, I think that it's important for you to have your business family as well. And that takes me to the next question that I have for you. You know, there are mastermind groups, and this audience is pretty savvy around what masterminding is, but give us your take on what is a mastermind? What is the value of the mastermind?
A mastermind is a collective group of like-minded people that collaborate, that coordinate, and that contribute to each other's success. So it's supportive, because their goal is to be able to support everybody, to give them that lift, to celebrate their wins, to support them in their losses, and to be able just to really be that backbone of their business and the business industry. It's also an opportunity for people to share information, again, to share resources, to share contacts, to be able to share knowledge, you know, and people that really will have valuable knowledge, not only based on what they've read, but things they've actually done or experienced themselves. It's also accountability. When you're part of a mastermind, if it's a growing business one, then you'll have certain benchmarks that you want to achieve. Then it gives you that accountability. Okay, did you reach your goal? Last month, last year, you said you want to do this. Were you able to do it? And be able to share that yes, you did, or no, you didn't. But if you didn't, why you didn't do it, and have people say, okay, I can help you with that. I gave you an example where we have one where it was financial goals, and every month the ladies had to reach X amount of dollars to be able to reach their year-end goal of 6 figures. And once a young lady was $2 short of reaching her monthly goal, and somebody from the group just said, here's $2, now you've reached your goal. I mean, it could be as simple as that, being able to create that win, knowing that it was that small, but it was that huge because she didn't reach her goal. So that accountability, that support, the collaboration, and the knowledge that people can share, because you don't know what you don't know. and you need someone else possibly to tell you that this is a better opportunity for you. And then also to inspire you, to motivate you, to make you feel that, you are not alone in doing it. And, you're not alone on your journey. And if you do fall, there's someone there to encourage you and pick you back up. But the biggest thing is to grow. It helps you grow, helps you get out of your world and get into somebody else's world. When you're able to contribute to somebody else's success, you're the winner of that. That's a gift you give yourself, because it makes you feel good to be able to say you made a difference in someone's life or someone's career. Great place to get feedback. Is this the right color for my packaging? Do you understand my elevator pitch? Is it correct? Is it targeted? Is it right on? How much my pricing should be for this product, program, or service? Just that. How many weeks? All of that. These are things that you don't discuss with your family and friends as a seller because they don't know. They're not your target market for the most part. And then they have their bias. Okay, they're going to love you and support you for the most part, no matter what you say. So you want people that are actually objective, that would just say, be brutally honest with you. And that's one of the things that we say in our masterminds, that it's a platform to be brutally honest in this name of love, so that we know we're not trying to hurt you, but we're actually going to just kind of tell you what their feedback is. And you have to be strong enough, tough enough, woman enough to be able to accept it. So it's such a good thing. There's many different benefits depending on what kind you want and what kind you're in, but it's all good.
Fabulous. It really is. And, to all of your points of, being a place of inspiration and accountability and support in your business growth as well as your personal growth, I love that you brought that to the table. We're in this conversation about masterminds, and just like anything else, to be brutally honest, there's a lot in the way of what you can do in participating and leading a group that leads to positive ends, but there's a lot on the other side of the coin too. And so let me ask you this: as a participant, you say make a commitment. However, when you determine that your commitment is waning, what do you do? When you determine that maybe, pretty early on, it really isn't the right group for you, what can you do in those instances?
You simply withdraw. It depends on different groups as to what that process is, whether it's just voluntarily, whether it has to be done in writing, or whether you have a certain amount of time to do it. But you just simply withdraw, but find another. Do not define that experience as all the experiences of a mastermind. It's like if you go to one restaurant and you don't, the food or the service or whatever is not up to par, it doesn't mean you don't go to any other restaurants. It means you just leave that one and go to one that would be better fit for you. So don't, categorize or mark masterminds as a waste of your time or you didn't get anything from it. Find one which would be more beneficial to you, as in anything else in life. And you do outgrow them. Maybe your achievements exceeds the achievements from the other people in your group. So maybe no longer is the conversation, vertical. Maybe horizontal. Maybe the conversation, you've outgrown that conversation. Maybe the tools and the contacts and resources they can share are no longer useful to you because you need different ones. Then simply, again, go to a different group, grow, and go to a different mastermind. And they exist, and just find someone you resonate with. But continue it as part of your learning process. Continue it as part of your journey.
Beautifully said. And then, that's from a participant standpoint. What about the leader? What about the leader who finds that they've outgrown the mastermind that they're leading? Then what do you do?
Well, one thing as a leader is make sure that if your group is willing and able to grow, then grow with them. Say, for example, again, we have ours, and this January, we took it up a notch. So we said, okay, new year, new deal. Here's the deal. So we created more accountability. We created, it was more required attendance. If they were not going to be able to attend, or at least be able to listen in, then we wanted them to withdraw from it because it just made them think about whether they're going to be accountable or not. We used to give them all these reminders, less reminders put on your calendar. If you're not willing to put it on your calendar because it's every Tuesday at 10, then this is not for you. You're not committed. So I was able to take that group and up-level them. Had I not been able to do that, then I would simply have found a leader in that group to say, would you take over this? Would you group? And I'm going to move on to another one at a different level or start another level. So some of it is like for a give back. Part of it is that maybe as a leader, you're not getting what you're giving, and the joy that you're giving is what you're getting. So it doesn't mean that's your mastermind. As a leader, I expect to give in that. And but for my own, I go to a different group that is beyond me. Again, if you want to be mentored by someone or some place, where you want to be as opposed to where you are. That way you continue to be able to grow. And again, people participate in more than one. So as a leader, I think it's just set up certain criteria. Be willing, if your group is able to upgrade them, up level them to grow, then do so as a gift for them, as well as if not, then be able to find something that supports you in your endeavors.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I think that's key. When you're in a leadership position, you really want to think about those who you are leading, the teams that you're leading, but you also have to think about yourself. And one of the things as a leader is you're tasked with, you're responsible for growing your group and sometimes getting to the point where you reset those levels so that they can then see themselves stepping up, and you've done the same thing as well. When you, like you said, given yourself that much time and resources back to yourself, you can then be creative to lend to this higher level that you're asking them to participate at. And I think the opportunity to say, this is where we're going. If you aren't ready for it, then we're going to ask you to step aside. I think that's a beautiful place for people to be able to stand and say, let me conquer what's here for me to look at and really assess. Am I satisfied with this, or am I ready to go to the next level? And I think that one of the things that is pretty prevalent in team dynamics is allowing people to stay where they are rather than inspiring them, as well as, sometimes mom's got to push them. Those baby birds don't learn to fly just because they want to fly. They learn to fly because they get kicked out of the nest.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes as a leader, you're in that as well. So my next question, when someone says, I want to be a part of a mastermind group, I think I want to be a part of yours, what's the process to assess whether they're a good fit for your mastermind group?
I think there's a couple different processes. I think it depends on what the mastermind group is, grown from, whether it's from a membership level or whether, like ours, we have one where there's a class they took, and these were for all the graduates of that class that were participating in the mastermind, so we knew, what their prerequisites were. The other ones where we had the inner circle that was for 6 figures, so we interviewed each one of them. We extended the invitation out to everyone who we paid 6 figures. We only needed 6 people. So it was a small amount of group, and we really assessed where they were and the individuals. It's like a party, a dinner party. You want to make sure that everyone's in line. You don't want to have a bad apple in that group because it can affect everything. Whether they're net pessimistic, whether they're negative, whether they're irresponsible, that reflects on your whole group, especially if it's a small group in person. If it's something that's on a telecall, teleclasses, you're not so affected by their presence, or you could be if they're verbally are being negative or pessimistic. So you have to have some kind of screening process, unless it's the type of mastermind where one person's just speaking, everybody else is basically on mute, and you're there just to get information, and you're just not really participating. Otherwise, I would want to create a screening process, whether it's via a application or a strategy session, as you mentioned that you have, where you have a chance to talk to them and find out what their goals and where they're at right now, or whether it's some other format. You can screen them through that. Or we had another situation, we had a meeting and for a mastermind, and we went through it successfully. And in our minds, my assistant and I decided the people that would not be a fit. And so after the meeting, the deal was that we were going to meet on it, and we would extend the ones that we felt would be a fit an invitation. So rather than looking at who would be a fit, we looked at the ones that were not a fit, ones that just did not resonate, did not participate, did not collaborate, did not just seem to have that. Part B, just went through the process of elimination and extended the invitation to everybody else. So there's many ways of doing it. The important part is to make sure, like anything else, one person, 2 people can hold you back, and you don't want that. So you want a good group that's really into collaborating and sharing. Not everyone's going to be on their best day every day, but I mean as far as virtually, their personality, their basics, their principles. So
Mm,
that's what we want to keep in mind.
good stuff. Good stuff.
Mhm.
Um, when you are participating in a mastermind, when you're leading a mastermind, how do you get the most engagement? What are some of the tactics that you utilize to get the most engagement out of people? I know you said that, typically when you get started, you look at the um, celebrations, the successes that someone might have had to meet their weekly or monthly goals, whatever it was. What else do you do? Do you have a set agenda that you go by?
In some groups you do. Some groups are very disciplined and very organized. So we know, like from 12 to 12:15, we're going to do this. We're going to have it open where everyone, or one of them now we're having everyone. The first thing they do is everyone does their elevator pitch, so they will see who's on the line. They can practice that, and people then we give a feedback on that. Her elevator pitch. Did you understand what her business was? Was it clear to you? Would you engage in it? What would you needed to hear to want to know more? But it starts with that, and so we do that as a kind of a round. That's on the phone, and then we go through the wins and celebrations, and then we go for things that someone learned. Maybe it's a application they discovered, or they tried something and it didn't work, or whatever that is. So kind of we're bringing in education and motivation and that sense of community, and then we go into the learning. Then I will have a different agenda. Like this week we're talking about networking. This week we're talking about affiliates. This week we're talking about alliances. So we'll go into that training. I do that towards the end to make sure everybody kind of stays towards the end, but also gives everyone a chance to warm up and get engaged. And most people will stay for that. That's one format. It can be, again, you can do whatever you want to create. There's other formats, as I mentioned, we had the live meetings. So we went around, everybody knew each other, so we went around, had our coffee, our breakfast, and then we talked about where everybody, like housekeeping, okay, this is so-and-so. Jane, you said you were going to do this week. How did it happen? And they'll say, I did this or I didn't do this. What do you need to support that with? Okay, I need this, this, and this. Okay, who in the room can support her with that or have a referral or access? We opened our Rolodexes for her to do that. And then we went around the table doing that, and we spent an hour doing that. And then the next hour was when we had our guest speaker in, who was a woman that was 7 figures. And she had been hearing the information. She was in the room, but she just wasn't at the table, what was going on. And she had a chance for each person again to introduce themselves. And she gave specific advice to that person. Okay, you're having problems with, building the team. Okay, this is what I did in this instance. I've done this, this, and this, and this. So she basically coached every person, and that happened for the next hour rather. And then after she finished coaching, that's why we had a small group so that everyone had that time to be able to be coached individually. And then the last hour was conversation. So maybe the people want to ask her more questions, maybe they want to ask each other questions, or they thought something afterwards. So it was a 3-hour time period, but it was very, very well worth it. And then there was once a month they were able to go through, go back into their businesses. So it's different. Depends on what your objective is. Again, if it's a spirituality, mastermind, or a book mastermind, or educational, or financial, whatever your agenda is, create something that makes sense for that. But the most important thing is to make sure that everybody has a chance to participate. People cannot, especially if it's virtual, they will get bored just sitting there and listening for that full period of time. So make sure there's a part of it where everybody can say something. So even if after our learning on our calls, we have everyone have a chance to give them a takeaway. What's your takeaway today? So it keeps them thinking, keeps them accountable. Why I took away this, and I reminded me about that, or I'm going to now do this, or I got to implement that, or just I forgot about this. So just kind of just checking out, like they check in, make sure they check out so that they are reminded and they're walking away with a takeaway. And they feel, okay, there's my value I got today.
Beautiful. Thank you. I want to I'm checking on the time here. We've got a little bit more time. And I want to find out from you what you see as the biggest mistake that mastermind leaders make that have caused them trouble, or maybe even caused a mastermind group to fail. And by fail, I mean that, people had to disengage and, it went away.
I think one of the things is make sure you're clear on the objective of the mastermind. So people that are enrolling know exactly what they're getting. Again, there's so many different types. If it's just for networking and chit-chatting, that's one thing. If it's for a specific goal, financial or a specific learning opportunity, be really clear on that. So, and just create your outline that's visible or accessible to them so that they know what they're getting from that and can anticipate it. That's the first thing, be really clear so that people are getting what they, especially if it's a paid mastermind, you have to deliver what you promised. Secondly, create the accountability. You know, I think what happens is that, especially if it's a small group of 6 or a small group and 2 people drop out for one reason, they only have 4. So what do? Bring somebody else in for the period of that time? It gets messy. So really have a commitment that they're able to commit to this program for this period of time. And that's why I like the full pay, because usually if people pay for it in full, then they'll live it out, like it or not, they'll live it out. Unless, again, something obviously happens. But have them commit to the time period as an investment. And that's why I encourage also to charge for it, because when people have money behind it, they're a little bit more committed. And then every time, do a reality check. We have, we had a large one where I never knew how many people was on the line. It could be 30, 40, 50 people online. We would send them an email every now and again. Okay, 1, are you attending? Do you have this in your calendar book? 2, what would you like to know more of? And what would you like to hear more about? Or what would you like more? What would keep you engaged? 3, is this day and time convenient for you no longer? We record ours so that after the recording, it goes into our Facebook group page. So they can go to our Facebook group and listen to it from there in the archives. But before we had it archives on our website. So it just depends, giving them the opportunity for some reason they can't make it to do it, but also create it. If you missed 3 times or 4 times, whatever, then we have to reconsider whether this is a fit for you. Not being consistent on your days and time, because people plan accordingly. So if you're doing it one time this week and 2 weeks later you're doing another time, people don't have that kind of flexibility. That gets kind of annoying. If it's a location, again, being consistent with that. To minimize the chaos and making sure that people are walking away with something. And that's why I say at the end, making sure they say before they walk out the door, before they leave the call or they hang out, what was your takeaway today, so they can remind themselves of the value that they received from participating and what are you going to implement now? Now, what are you going to do with that takeaway? Are you going to implement a new program, or does it inspire you to do a mastermind after you listen to this call? So that they can really be reminded of the value. People really have, time is limited and money is limited. So you really have to remind them why they're doing it, why it's valuable for them to do it. I think that's the biggest mistake. And then also one big mistake is letting one person hog the whole forum. So either the whole conversation or whatever it is, making sure everybody gets a chance to shine. If you have one person that just does all the talking and all whatever, then it's usually all about them club. It's not necessarily a mastermind. So making sure that if they speak, whoever that is speaks, but then everybody has a chance. What is your contribution? What is your feeling on that? Making sure that not one person monopolizes the program, because that will be annoying. People won't be interested in coming back.
Very good, very good. So what kind of empowerment? Can you talk a little bit to the state of empowerment that women come out of as they have participated in these mastermind groups? They just tell us a little bit about some of the changes that you've seen have happened from some women starting, and then as they have gone through their 6 months or their year, and what you've observed have been on the other side.
I think it's the growth. It's the growth that they're able to achieve with more ease, because they didn't have to do everything themselves. They didn't have to figure out everything themselves. They got supported, so they had a place where they could go to and speak and share. Which again, sometimes whether you're a solopreneur, or whether you have a team of thousands, you're not necessarily collaborating with them. You're usually delegating and implementing and things of that type. So to have a like-minded group that you can kind of feel equal to and get as well as give, is very empowering. So just that experience alone, to know that there's accountability, that I have something I have to go to or something I have to do every, Tuesday at 10 or whatever the case may be, to feel part of something, that really helps them. And then on those days where they just, feel like they can't go on those days where they're exhausted, they're tired, they've been refused or rejected, whatever the case may be, that they can go into a space that is empowering, that's light. They can even share, hey, I'm bummed because I lost that contract. I thought I had it. Now my financial, they can be safe, a safe haven where you can share something like that and say, well, somebody else can say, well, don't worry about it. Let's do this or let's do that, or why don't you try this, or I have this resource. Just be able to have problems and have problems actually be solved, is huge. So you don't have to belabor those issues that are just holding you back and holding you down. I think they get knowledge. Again, if it's a learning one, they walk away with knowledge. They walk away with inspiration, motivation, and education. They just really can, it makes a difference. And we're actually, this is the time of year where we do testimonials from last year's Mastermind. And that's what I'm going to possibly, I'm sure that's what usually we get on the Google Hangouts, is that, they just, sometimes they didn't think they can go on, or sometimes they've been really depressed or really sad or whatever emotion is. And they can come to the Mastermind and hear that this person's like, oh yeah, I could do that, or oh okay, why don't I try that way, or yeah, that makes sense, or I'm just exhausted. And even it's just taking a friend out for lunch. They can say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood next week or next day or so, let's go for coffee and I'll share some things with you, or I'll look at it again closer. So it's just like anything else. Having community, having love, having support, having collaboration, whether you're in a business, whether you're in your family, going to the Boy Scouts, whether you're going to a baseball game, whether you're going to participate in gymnastics, whatever you're participating in, there's a gift that's given to you by our participation. It's the same thing with the Mastermind. It's just that the only difference is this could render multiple sources of income. So that's the difference in this. But it's like, you can grow your business and you can make money.
Yes, yes. Well, I just want to bring up that we've got some people out in the audience with us. And Cynthia Gardner O'Neill, thank you for your comment. The biggest thing is to grow. We grow from our relationships, experience, and environment. This is all that supports you, so you know you're not alone. I think that is so key. And yeah, really, the whole relationship thing. Tell us something about some of the relationships that you've seen that maybe, people didn't know each other in the beginning, and several months down the road. What are some of the things that the development of relationships has brought to people in masterminds that you've seen?
Oh, it's just, the relationships are enormous, not only in masterminds and in business, period, professionally and personally. Ladies that are on the call can decide, okay, we're going to collaborate. We're going to create a collaboration. One of them was an author. One of them was she was a Monavi distributor. And she said, and they were both relatively new and didn't have a big list. They said, well, let's collaborate and just do a launch. I'm going to launch my book. And one of them had the home, I'll do their home. And they collaborated, and they had a beautiful, I went to the event actually because it was a beautiful, the way they presented it was so beautiful and so elegant because they had an artistic way about them. And so the one that hosted the event talked, and then she introduced the author. And the author came and talked about what inspired her to write the book. And then they had another little station where she actually did the sales of the book. And then she actually had another station where a table was set up for her to do the book signing. Then we had more refreshments by the young lady who had the Monavi, and she talked about the benefits of that. And that was a collaboration that would have never happened out of anywhere. We have another one that collaborated called Finance and Fashions. One of them was a stylist, and she had that style. The other one was a financial advisor. So you think, how does that work? Well, they actually collaborated, did a lot of seminars together. They actually did the Women's Expo on stage together. They did videos together. They done all different types of things together. This helps you collaborate. And then, and the good thing is that it's not just, it's not a permanent part of their business, so they can do what they choose, but they're able to walk away. Relationships is the best ship to success. And I'll give you one little example of even something personally and professionally with me. As I shared it last second Sunday at an event, that I had a second Sunday 4 or 5 years ago, and I was in the hair salon one day, and another woman that was waiting for my same stylist, we started a small conversation. I extended the invitation to her. She came, and she brought another guest. That the person that came originally, I never saw her, talked to her again, never ran to her again. Her guest, however, became one of our members. Then she became part of our inner circle. Then she became part of my private coaching. She, as a result of the private coaching, brought on 4 or 5 other of my private coaching clients. One of those private coaching clients, when my son was really ill last year, helped him because he was a chiropractor. I mean, she was a nutritionalist, chiropractor, referred me to an acupuncturist. The acupuncturist saved my son's leg. We were up for amputation 2 weeks out. And by that referral, she was able to now, he's been going since September, and his legs has gone down. He doesn't have it amputated. Okay? That one person in the beauty shop, end result, saved my son's leg. So relationships, whether it's professional or personally, are so valuable, especially, again, if it's your like-minded that will grow. I've made thousands of dollars from that one thing, probably, if I was to calculate it, $56,000 from that one relationship, that one person that came and kept up-leveling, and bringing me that source, and then not to mention, the lives of my son's legs. So it's
Wow.
it's. I mean, you have to go back. If you go back to all of your great things that you've been accomplished, take that trail backwards and figure out how you got there. And usually, you'll have to say as a person, an
You're
individual
right.
goes you to that. You don't get here, unless it's a commercial. Some of the time, most of the most valuable relationships you have that are supporting you today as a result of being someplace with somebody as a result of something.
You're right. I heard Mary Morrissey say one time, um, she was quoting Bob Proctor, that you are one person away from what could just explode your business. And it is truly the value that you place in the relationships that you make, and nurturing them, growing them as you are growing, as the other person's growing or other people are growing. And I think Masterminds is really one of the best environments for you to have those kinds of experiences. Um, I just can't say enough about them. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm just so excited. I love this subject matter. I love the discussion. I always enjoy talking with you. And I want to make sure that our audience knows how to connect with you, and to connect and make sure that they have an opportunity to enjoy something that you are about to do. So you have a gift for our group, is that right?
Yes, I do. I just love gifts no matter what they are. And the gift I want to share with everyone today is our subscription, a complimentary subscription to our Let's Talk Success digital magazine. And we just launched it last month, or this month, January, so it's new and it's being improved as we go along. But all they have to do is go to our website, which is anempoweredwoman.com. And I'll spell that out as ANEMPOWEREDWOMAN.com. And right there on the homepage, you'll see a registration for the free subscription, and subscribe, and you'll get it. And it's wonderful. It's educational, motivational, and inspiring. Something you can share, something you can revisit all as often, and it's as you desire. So please take advantage of that.
And you will be able to find that information on my website at bizinfozone.com. And you'll be able to connect with Desiree through there. You'll also find the video replay up there. And I want to let you know, too, that I've been so honored to be a part of Desiree's Board of Influencers. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously, which is one of the reasons why I want you to go right now, stop what you're doing, and empoweredwoman.com. Sign up, be a part of the Empowered Woman community and the Let's Talk Success community, because these seven-figure women who are talking about their story and who are sharing with you some valuable information about how you can grow your business, it's right there. So Desiree, thank you so much for being here with us today. I just have to ask you, what is the one thing that you want our audience of savvy social entrepreneurs to take away with them today?
Well, to remember that their net worth is going to be a reflection of their network. So network with the proper people that are going to inspire you to be all that you want to be.
Thank you so much. I love that. I'm going to add that to the page to show you quoting there because that is key. Your net worth is going to be equal to your network. Get the big network. And not just the big network in size and numbers, but the big network that's going to help you to give at your biggest level, at your highest and best level. Thank you, Desiree. I
Thank you.
so appreciate you for being here today.
Great. Thank you. Until we meet again, stay empowered.
Wonderful. You heard that. Until we meet again, stay empowered. I'm Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host of the Biz Info Zone show. You've been in the zone. Take this with you. Live a bigger life, have a bigger business, and do more good in the world. We'll see you soon. Back next week. So join us then. Bye. Bye for now.